Hello pretty ladies and pretty boys. That sounded really gay. Anyway, I am Quonky, and if Mac lovers are opening their arms and saying, "You come to our side, Quonky," and if Windows 7 users are on their knees saying, why, I haven't come over to Mac, and if you see, I know math. Yeah, 1+1. I've got my GCSEs. Yeah, really did. That's the funny thing. Anyway, I'm just going to run a few operations, which I'm going to go on Safari, type in YouTube, just start doing various operations on the system. And I'm talking in the present. I recorded this video a bit back ago because the audio didn't really work, to be honest. I was just about to upload the video and the audio wouldn't work. As you just see, I tried to maximize the video, which is a little green button, which is on the wrong side. I clicked it and it didn't want to maximize. In fact, I had to use the corner to drag it out, which kind of got the full screen. I couldn't do it on the left hand side, which is, I don't know, to be honest, Mac pisses me off. And yes, I bet all Windows 7 users are like, he hasn't went over to the dark side. I really haven't, because I'm not going to hate on Mac, because it can be useful for something. If you wanted just to get a useful calculator, Mac is amazing. As you just saw, 1+1, it managed to work it out. Now, I'm not going to start hating on Mac, because there's a lot of good uses for Mac. I just can't think of any at all. Some programs like GarageBand, if you're really into music and want to start using like GarageBand and music editing programs like that, obviously only Mac has them apps, have them programs. So you would generally go for Mac just to use them programs. Now, I am not on a Mac PC. I will tell you afterwards what I'm doing, but all the specs are exactly, in fact, better than a Mac Pro. In fact, quite a high version of a Mac Pro. Mac Pros can come in 4 gig. In fact, I'll explain all that later. Now, I'm just going to talk about the system itself, which is Snow Leopard 10.6. I know Lion has come out now and all that, but this is I'm just running various operations, just showing you stuff on the desktop. Now, the desktop does look good. Anyway, I just clicked a little robot holding a pen. I think he was holding a pen or a jizz stick. Don't know what he was holding, but like I said, I know nothing about Macs. I absolutely have no clue what buttons are what, or how to get to this, how to get to that. But I found it pretty easy to go on the internet to look stuff up, and that's all I found it useful for. Now, I love Windows 7 and I love Linux. Now, Linux, as you can see, I've just pulled up the system, my system that I'm running it on. Process, basically I've dedicated 8 cores to it. The processor's 4.3 GHz and 8 GB RAM. So, it is better than a standard Mac Pro. It's better than a middle spec Mac Pro as well, which I'm just going to show you now. Now, Mac Pros come in, you can get a quad core, which is 4 cores. You can get 6 cores, 8 cores and 12 cores, which they've only recently just brought out a 12 core version available to the market. Now, I believe if you were to customize a Mac, you can get 24 cores, but it will set you back round about, I think it's saying like £17,000. I'm not too sure how much it would cost, but basically be a huge waste of money. Now, Mac PCs are totally overpriced. In fact, it's like getting an Alienware and paying an extra £3 on top of something that's a lot worse. Now, Alienwares are really overpriced as well, yes, but Macs are way overpriced for the specs that's inside them. Look, there's 8 cores there. That's 2.93 GHz. Now, my Mac has 8 cores and it's 4.30 GHz on my 990X because it's overclocked. And it has 8 cores. Now, this has 8 cores and it's nowhere near the specs I have. Of course, there's a Mac that has 12 cores and has 2.93 GHz, exactly the same, but has an extra 4 cores. Now, I could easily make a 12 core PC, which I have, but I could easily ramp my thingamajig up to 12 cores and have it at 4.30 GHz and have 24 GB RAM. But I will show you what I'm actually on. Now, this is currently nearly 2 times better than a Mac Pro right now. I mean, it's 2 times better with the graphics, with the processor, with basically everything, even the RAM. It's 2 times better than a higher than average spec of a Mac Pro, which costs £3,700. It costs a lot of money just for something that is useless. I believe it's useless. Now, I don't get what all these little kids think that Macs are good, because I know people who are, 16, 17, they want to be designers and they think Macs are really good for designing. Now, they get this because obviously they've probably seen a picture of a studio and think, or media or something like that, and they walk in and instantly think, because they see, a bunch of Mac PCs, that Macs are good for designing stuff like that. Now, Macs are good, amazingly good for 2D design, but so are Windows PCs. Now, if you want to go into 2D design, just Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator, programs like that, you're best off getting a Mac. But now this is just like a word from me, this is personal. If you want to go into 3D design, which a lot of people nowadays do, if you want to go into 3D design like Maya, Mudbox, ZBrush, 3ds Max, stuff like that, even Cinema 4D, you are better off, now take my advice, you are better off getting a PC, because Macs are complete shit. They're useless. They're absolutely useless for 3D stuff. Now, I've been in so many studios. Now, in people's minds, you imagine a studio that is filled of Macs. Every studio I've ever been in, there's only ever been at least 2 or 3 Macs, depending on the type of studio. Every studio I've ever went in that is 3D, like the 3D studios, their main priorities, 3ds Max and Maya, designing 3D objects. They all use customized Windows 7 PCs. All of them. Even the people who work there, they hate Mac. There's a few people who go on the Mac PCs to create 2D designs. Now, I personally don't know why they prefer Mac, because I don't know what goes on in their mind. But these people are designers, 3D designers, and they hate Mac. They laugh at 2D designers who use Mac. Now, if you were to go in a 3D design studio and say that you're a 2D designer, they would laugh you out the building. They literally would. So it's just a word of advice. As you can see here, it is actually an operating system, like inside a virtual machine, and it's better than a Mac Pro, and it's running on my desktop on Windows 7, on top of Windows 7. As you can see, it's a virtual machine, and yet it's better than a Mac Pro. Look, I'm running on Windows 7, I'm recording it, these are my cores, this is my processor, with Mac running on top of it, with Leopard running on top of it. And I've got basically a virtual Mac Pro, above average specs, inside my PC, which is here. Now, if you think it might be a tiny bit laggy, it's my recorder. I assure you, when I was on here, there was no lag at all. It ran so smooth. It ran as smooth as a sheet of glass. It actually did. I was pretty amazed with what I got from this virtual machine. If you really want to know how to do this, how I managed to do this, just ask, leave a comment in the description, thumbs up, and I'll make another video showing how I've done it. Anyway, I've been Quonky. Good night.